You know that when my television station realizes that I'm missing, the entire Haitian army will be out looking for me. Not quite.
Hollywood has always been a place of dazzling lights and deep shadows. Behind the glamorous photographs and red carpet moments, there are stories that were never fully explained. Lives that ended too soon, leaving only questions behind.
She was very loving, kind. She was always smiling. You never saw the child when she wasn't smiling.
1. Thelma Todd. Thelma Todd was one of early Hollywood's brightest comedic stars, a charismatic, quick-witted actress who lit up screens throughout the 1930s. But on December 16, 1935, her life ended under circumstances that remain uncertain. That morning, her body was found inside her Lincoln Phaeton, parked in a garage near the cafe she was associated with on Pacific Coast Highway. The official cause of death was carbon monoxide poisoning, yet several details never fully aligned, keeping the case surrounded by quiet speculation. The night before, Thelma had attended a lively Hollywood gathering at the Trocadero nightclub. Witnesses later said she seemed cheerful when she left. Sometime afterward, she returned to the building where she kept her apartment and where the garage was located. The next morning, she was discovered seated upright behind the wheel. The coroner noted a small bruise on her lip and a few superficial marks, but concluded they were not signs of a struggle and did not contribute to her death. Why she remained in the cold garage in her evening gown, and whether she intended to start the car or was simply waiting, has never been clearly explained. Over the decades, theories have ranged from an accident to misunderstandings or tensions within her professional circle, but none have been confirmed. Nearly 90 years later, Thelma Todd's passing remains one of Hollywood's most enduring and quietly haunting mysteries. 2. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood was one of the most celebrated actresses of her generation, known for West Side Story, Splendor in the Grass, and Rebel Without a Cause. But her sudden passing during a weekend trip to Santa Catalina Island in November 1981 remains one of Hollywood's most discussed mysteries. She had been aboard the yacht Splendor with her husband, Robert Wagner, actor Christopher Walken, and the boat's captain, Dennis Davern. Sometime during the night of November 28th, Natalie ended up in the cold waters off Catalina. Exactly how it happened has never been firmly determined. The following morning, her body was found floating about a mile from the yacht. A small dinghy, the Valiant, was discovered beached nearby. Natalie was dressed in a nightgown, socks, and a jacket, suggesting she may have stepped outside briefly before going overboard. The original ruling was accidental drowning, though bruises on her body led to questions about how she entered the water. Friends often mentioned her deep fear of dark, open water, making the circumstances feel even more unclear. In 2011, the case was reopened after new statements from the captain, and the cause of death was updated to drowning and other undetermined factors. Despite renewed attention and multiple interviews, no definitive explanation has ever been confirmed. Today, Natalie Wood's passing remains a poignant Hollywood mystery, held between speculation, unanswered questions, and the absence of a clear conclusion. 3. Jean Spangler. Jean Spangler was a young actress and dancer who appeared in small film and nightclub roles in late 1940 SS Hollywood. On the evening of October 7, 1949, she left her home in Park La Brea, telling her sister-in-law she was going to meet her ex-husband and then work on a night shoot, but she never returned. Around 6 p.m., she was last seen near the farmers market area, looking as though she were waiting for someone. 2 days later, on October 9th, hikers found her handbag near the Ferndale entrance of Griffith Park. Its strap appeared torn, as if it had been pulled off rather than simply dropped. Inside was a note addressed to someone named Kirk that read, "Kirk, can't wait any longer, going to see Dr. Scott. It will work best this way while Mother is away." Neither Kirk nor Dr. Scott was ever identified. Actor Kirk Douglas, who had briefly worked with Jean, later stated he barely knew her and had been out of town at the time. With no body, no verified sightings, and no confirmed leads, investigators considered possibilities ranging from a personal matter to a medical complication or an encounter with someone she knew, but none led anywhere. Over the years, reported sightings surfaced in California, Arizona, and beyond, yet none were substantiated. Today, more than 7 decades later, Jean Spangler remains officially missing, her fate unknown, preserved as one of Los Angeles's most haunting and enduring Hollywood mysteries. 4. Georgette Bauerdorf. Georgette Bauerdorf was a young socialite and aspiring actress connected to MGM in the mid-1940s. She lived alone in an apartment at El Palacio, a well-known residential complex popular among performers of the era. On the morning of October 12, 1944, staff discovered her in the bathtub of her home, still wearing her nightgown. Officials soon determined that something had gone seriously wrong during the night, though the exact sequence of events has never been fully clarified. From the beginning, investigators found the situation puzzling. There were no clear signs of forced entry, suggesting Georgette may have known the person she encountered or that someone accessed the apartment through a shared area. Neighbors later recalled hearing unusual sounds and hurried footsteps in the early hours, though none understood their significance at the time. Earlier that evening, witnesses reported seeing a man who appeared to be accompanying or watching her at a nightclub, but he was never identified. Inside the apartment, authorities noted signs of a disturbance, yet Georgette's valuables and more expensive belongings remained largely untouched. A light fixture near the entrance had also been tampered with, raising questions about whether someone attempted to reduce visibility in the hallway. Despite multiple leads, none resulted in a suspect or provided a convincing explanation. Ideas ranged from someone she knew to a stranger passing through wartime Los Angeles, but nothing was ever confirmed. Nearly 80 years later, the mystery of Georgette Bauerdorf's final hours remains unresolved, shaped by limited evidence, conflicting details, and the quiet questions that have lingered ever since. 5. Christa Helm. Christa Helm arrived in Hollywood with confidence and big ambitions. Although her acting career included only a few small roles, she quickly became known in social circles for her charisma and her ability to connect with influential people in entertainment, sports, and politics. Friends later recalled that Christa kept a detailed personal diary and sometimes recorded conversations, notes that reportedly mentioned several well-known figures. Whether these records were simply personal memorabilia or something more sensitive has long been debated. On the morning of February 12, 1977, Christa was found on a quiet residential street in West Hollywood. She had suffered fatal injuries, though the precise events of that night were never clearly established. Her purse was missing, and in the weeks that followed, friends claimed that her diary, and possibly some tapes, seemed to be gone from her home as well, though investigators were unable to confirm whether anything had actually been removed. Detectives interviewed numerous people from Christa's personal and professional circles, but no suspects were ever identified. Accounts of her final days varied, and her wide social network created a complex puzzle with few reliable clues. Over time, speculation has ranged from personal disputes to questions about what might have been in her diary, yet no theory has produced solid evidence. Today, Christa Helm's death remains one of Hollywood's most enduring unsolved mysteries, shaped by missing pieces, shifting stories, and the unanswered questions surrounding her final hours. 6. Barbara Colby. Barbara Colby was a rising television actress known for her sharp comedic timing and memorable appearances on popular shows in the 1970s. By the summer of 1975, her career was gaining real momentum. She had just filmed her 3rd episode of the sitcom Phyllis, and producers were excited about her growing potential. But on the evening of July 24, 1975, an unexpected and still unexplained tragedy cut her promising future short. That night, Barbara and her acting student, James Kiernan, were walking through a dimly lit parking area in the Palms district of Los Angeles after finishing an acting class. 2 unidentified individuals approached them without warning. They carried out a sudden attack and fled immediately afterward. Both Barbara and Kiernan were wounded, and Kiernan survived long enough to tell investigators that the assailants never spoke to them or attempted to take anything. Barbara passed away at only 36. Detectives explored multiple possibilities: random violence, mistaken identity, or a targeted incident. but none aligned clearly with the evidence. There were no arrests, no confirmed suspects, and no apparent motive. Despite significant investigative efforts and occasional renewed interest from journalists, the case eventually went cold. Today, Barbara Colby's passing remains one of Hollywood's most troubling unsolved cases, an abrupt and unexplained loss of a talented actress whose career had only just begun to shine. 7. Tammy Lynn Leppert. Tammy Lynn Leppert was a young actress and model whose career seemed ready to take off. By the early 1980s, she had appeared in pageants, commercials, and several small film roles, including a brief appearance in Scarface. But just as her future looked bright, her behavior began to change in ways that worried her family and friends. During the spring and summer of 1983, Tammy became unusually anxious and withdrawn. She expressed fears that someone might want to harm her, though she never shared clear details about what caused these feelings. Her mother sought help for her, but the reasons behind Tammy's sudden shift in mood were never firmly established. Some accounts mention a distressing experience on a film set, while others suggest she may have been dealing with emotional stress, but nothing has been confirmed. On July 6, 1983, Tammy left home with a male friend. He later said that during the drive she became upset, so he let her out near the Glass Bank in Cocoa Beach, Florida, a well-known local landmark at the time. This was the last verified sighting of her. She left behind her purse, money, and identification, suggesting she had not planned to disappear. In the decades since, investigators have followed many leads, reported sightings, anonymous calls, and theories linking her disappearance to criminal activity in Florida at the time, but none resulted in a verified conclusion. Her mother searched for answers for the rest of her life, and the case remains open with law enforcement. Today, Tammy Lynn Leppert remains officially missing. What happened after she stepped out of that car continues to be one of Florida's and Hollywood's most haunting unsolved mysteries. 8. Karyn Kupcinet. Karyn Kupcinet was a young television actress with a growing career in the early 1960s. As the daughter of well-known Chicago columnist Irv Kupcinet, she grew up surrounded by entertainers and industry figures, giving her an early introduction to Hollywood's social world. But just days after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, she became the focus of a mystery that has never been resolved. On November 30th, 1963, friends who had not heard from her entered Karyn's West Hollywood apartment and discovered her inside. She had last been seen on the evening of November the 28th. The television was on, food was left on the stove, and a few items in the room appeared slightly out of place. The coroner later concluded that her passing involved foul play, though the exact sequence of events could not be determined. Investigators interviewed several people who had recently visited or spoken with her, as well as individuals from her personal life, but none of the leads produced a suspect. Around the same time, tabloids began publishing speculative stories linking her death to rumors surrounding the JFK assassination. Authorities found no evidence supporting such claims, and these theories were later dismissed as unfounded. Despite intermittent renewed attention, no clear explanation for what happened in Karyn's apartment has ever emerged. Today, her case remains an officially unsolved mystery, one of early Hollywood's most quietly troubling and unanswered stories. 9. Carol Wayne. Carol Wayne was widely known for her comedic appearances on The Tonight Show, where she charmed audiences as the matinee lady. But in January 1985, during a trip to Manzanillo, Mexico, her life took a turn that remains unexplained. Carol had traveled there with a male companion for what was intended to be a short vacation, and witnesses later recalled some tension between them over travel plans. After a disagreement, Carol reportedly walked toward the beach and did not return. Her companion left Mexico soon afterward. 3 days later, a fisherman found her fully clothed body in the shallow waters of Santiago Bay. An autopsy concluded that she had drowned, and toxicology tests did not reveal significant levels of alcohol or drugs. Friends later mentioned that Carol was not a confident swimmer and often felt uneasy in deep water, which added to the uncertainty. How she ended up in the ocean at night, still dressed, has never been clearly explained. Mexican authorities ruled the case an accidental drowning, and no further action was taken. Today, the circumstances of Carol Wayne's final hours remain uncertain, a quiet, lingering mystery in the history of Hollywood's golden era personalities. 10. Olive Thomas. Olive Thomas was one of the silent era's most captivating stars. A former Ziegfeld Follies performer, she transitioned to film with remarkable success and became known for her charm, beauty, and expressive screen presence. Her marriage to actor Jack Pickford placed her within Hollywood's inner circle, though their relationship was often described as emotionally turbulent. In September 1920, Olive and Jack traveled to Paris, hoping to enjoy a break from work. In the early hours of September 5th, Olive accidentally ingested a highly toxic mercury bichloride solution that Jack used for medical treatment. The bottle had been stored in a dimly lit bathroom and resembled more common medication containers of the time. She was rushed to a nearby hospital but passed away several days later. French authorities ruled her death accidental, finding no evidence of wrongdoing. Still, the story quickly drew public speculation. Reports circulated about disagreements during the trip, and some of Jack's statements changed slightly over time, fueling curiosity. Rumors involving jealousy, late-night outings, and tension in the marriage spread widely in the press, though none were supported by official documents. Investigators ultimately closed the case, determining there was no basis for criminal charges. More than a century later, Olive Thomas's passing remains a subject of fascination. Not because evidence points to foul play, but because her life ended suddenly and dramatically, leaving room for speculation to grow. The official verdict has never changed, yet the mystery surrounding that night in Paris continues to attract attention. These 10 stories remind us that even in a world built on perfection, fame, and fantasy, the truth can sometimes slip quietly into the shadows. And as the years pass, their unresolved moments continue to echo the same haunting question: what really happened?